Welcome to Point Counterpoint, the 46360 show. The opinions expressed by the show's hosts, myself, Dwayne Perry, and Anthony Tony Hendricks, will many times conflict, thus the title, Point Counterpoint. Point Counterpoint is a weekly issue show for our area. Point Counterpoint's always let you be the judge for yourself. We live in an information free-for-all. It's hard to see through all the misinformation and get to the accurate facts, what is right and best for our community. We will not libel, discriminate, or disrespect anyone or their views. We believe in the constitutional First Amendment, right of free speech, and we support anyone who voices their opinion as part of their duty to their community. This program brings you just that, an unedited, honest, candid discussion of issues. The producers of Point Counterpoint are solely responsible for the content of this show. But because the show is not rehearsed, we take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by our guests or for the information they gather from public sources. We will adhere to all applicable federal, state, and local regulations concerning limits of public speech and program content. The intent of this show is to thoroughly research current issues that affect our community, present the facts surrounding the issues, discuss the pros and cons, then present to our viewing audience what we together or individually feel is the best solution for both the community and the public. Point Counterpoint 46360 show is a property of its producers, Dwayne Perry and Anthony Tony Hendricks, and may not be rebroadcasted without the written permission of its producers. The producers take no responsibility for the opinions of others in the postings of comments in chat rooms, blogs, video logs, forum posts, or other media. We welcome and encourage ideas and suggestions for the show. We can be reached at 46360show at excite.com. Our shows will air on Comcast Cable Access and will be rebroadcast by us on YouTube under the label Point Counterpoint 46360 show. Again, welcome to Point Counterpoint 46360 show, brought to you by Dwayne Perry and Anthony Tony Hendricks. We hope you enjoy the topics, the discussion, and the show. Well, let's get started. Tony, what do we have on our agenda for today?
I'm leaving it to you. All right, give them our 5 topics.
Again. Well, we're flying by the seat of our pants. So
I've got so much information here, it's not even
You
fun.
spit out the first 3.
All right, so Potawatomi Park, the beach, and I want to do a little bit of downtown.
Okay.
Uptown.
Downtown. And I'm going to talk about Polk County, Florida School District.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
and
education.
the Polk County Sheriff and what they're doing to protect their children in their schools. Very interesting. Very important. And the other subject I want to talk about is Indiana and industrial jobs. Our rating as a state. A national magazine, Chief Executive Magazine, ranked Indiana as the 5th best state for new businesses to situate in. So go ahead, Tony. You can start with
Potawatomi Park.
Potawatomi Park.
Here you go. Here's Potawatomi Park. Here's what I dug up for you. So
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, where are we at? Potawatomi Park is
Well, to bring you up to speed, Michigan City has approached Potawatomi Park.
Potawatomi Park approached us.
Oh, they approached us?
They approached us.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
They approached us.
They want to become part of Michigan City. Wow. I don't know what they're going to benefit from that.
That's why you see
All
the
their
paper
property
there.
taxes, are going to come to us, which is, what did you say that's worth?
And just
Well,
what I did with my piece of paper.
They have $35 million worth of taxable properties at 1%, $350,000 per
So
year.
let me go a little bit over that for you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
please.
Potawatomi Park. I don't know if my piece of paper. Potawatomi Park, yeah, here. Let me just temporarily. Here, I just need this one. Found it. Potawatomi Park. So I did a little research on Potawatomi Park. I told the viewers we were going to do that. It took me some time. did as much as I can. We can pull down information that's pretty amazing. So I started out with Potawatomi Park, affectionately known as Pot Park. Everyone who lives there called it Pot Park. Potawatomi Park. So I looked up, and you can look at the census, city data census online. They say the average home is $185,000 in Potawatomi Park. That's pretty high. That's way more than Village Green, or I think maybe it's Old Edgewood. That's high.
Well, it's higher than Old Edgewood.
That's high.
It's a very regulated community. They have their own town marshal.
Yeah, they're their own town.
It's a gated community, so to speak.
Yeah.
And well, there's not a physical gate, but when you have your own town marshal, you are a gated community. You have control. Very quiet. Only 2 entrances in.
Yeah.
2 ways in and out.
In and out. So I looked at some interesting things about Potawatomi Park. Friendship Gardens is in Potawatomi Park. Did you know, and that's what GIS Beacon says, that the Michigan City, I don't know if it's the Park District or the Michigan City Street Department, that building they have there on 12,
Yeah.
is in Pot Park.
I didn't know that. Well, it's city property, so it won't bring in any tax revenues, but it is very interesting.
I didn't know that was in Potawatomi Park. That's what Beacon shows. If I'm wrong, somebody tell us. There's 190 homes about. They have 14,000 lineal feet of road, so about 2.65 miles of road. So we got to. I saw in the paper where they put it off until 2020 before they can put a question on the ballot on whether Potawatomi Park wants to annex to the city or not. And I think the article said that the mayor wants to know some data on the good and the bad and the ugly about this happening, because we have 2.65 miles of road. I didn't drive through there. I was going to drive through there before here to see how their road, what shape
Well, the roads are in very good condition.
I thought they were paved not too long ago.
Yeah.
Pretty good condition.
They're all blacktop, and they're in good condition, so there shouldn't be an initial
2.65 miles of road, I'm guessing, is like $1 million if they're going to repave them. Okay, infrastructure costs. They have 14,000 lineal feet, which we know you don't need all sewer and water. Some have sewer, some have water. But say around numbers, 14,000 lineal feet of water and sewer. Gravity sewer, I estimate about $2.75 million to put sewer and water throughout the town.
Yeah, they're not on Michigan City's sewer system yet.
Some are, most aren't. A few
Probably the only ones that are on North Risky Ave, because that's late development.
Yeah, I think they have one run that goes up to the country club.
Yeah.
And you know where the country club is? In the city of Michigan City. All that property is in the city of Michigan City. The golf course.
Okay, you said that the park department building is in Potawatomi Park.
Yeah.
Well, right next to the park department building is a fire station.
No, that's right. That's the line.
That's
right
the line. I was going to
two.
say, wouldn't it be something if one of our fire stations has been in Potawatomi Park all this time? Whoops.
Well, we got a park out there. Patriot Park's out in the county. Anyways, $2.75 million if they're going to do gravity, sewer, and water. Now, here's the catch. If you're going to do gravity sewer, which lasts a long time in gravity and usually less work, but it's about 3 to 3.5 times the cost of a low-pressure sewer line, which is really what Potawatomi Park and Trail Creek and Long Beach should be looking at. Because if you estimate what a low-pressure sewer line is going to be, it's about $500,000. Now, you still have to buy a pump for each house and pump it into the sewer line, and that's about $4,000 to $5,000.
Well, it's good that you explain the difference to the people.
Yeah, there's a difference.
The gravity is water will flow downhill, and it'll just
naturally.
The line will continually be sloping down toward its final destination, which is a sanitary treatment plant.
And I didn't do enough investigation to know if you
where
could
they
reach
scan elevation
the north end. Yeah, they reach the north end of Potawatomi Park and get all the way out to Risky with a gravity sewer. I think some of that's been done, but that's expensive. It's expensive in the front end, but after 40, 50 years, it probably pays for itself. So that's a question you have to, the return on investment, the cost-benefit
A
analysis.
gravity over 40 or 50 years would be more beneficial than a low pressure.
Probably.
Yeah, replacement of equipment.
Because you have to replace pumps.
Yep.
And each house would have to have a pump. Or each house right now, I understand that has a septic, would have to replace their septic. I have never, in my time, known the health department to ever condemn a house because they couldn't have a septic. We always have to find a way to get them some sort of a septic system, experimental. It might be expensive. It might be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. But they will find a way. They're not going to condemn anyone's house. So right now, the way it sits, they have to buy and replace their septic system if it fails with the way those people are sitting there. So I guess they have some cost of ownership that the city needs to be very careful if they want to come in. Are we taking their burden on?
Okay, so everything you've mentioned so far has been cost to the residents of Potawatomi Park.
Yes, right now.
They're going to have
They're paying.
water, because not all of them are on city water.
Yep.
They're going to have sewer.
Well, technically, they could keep their wells.
Yeah, well, if the city lets them opt out. The city didn't let.
Oh, that's right. There's a law in Michigan City that says you can't have a well. Oh, that's right. You cannot have a
Michigan
well.
City did not let Trail Creek opt out of their garbage pickup. The people along Wellnuts Road, they pay for Michigan City garbage pickup, and they still have their own. I don't know why
Some of the Wellnuts
town
Road
of
people are
Trail Creek didn't cancel that, but they're paying for 2 garbage pickups.
Some people in Wellnuts are in the county and some aren't. There's like a weird line in there. So you got sewer and water to worry about. I think the water line, if you're going to run it all the way through there, probably cost another $1 million. So are you either at $2.75 million or at $1.4 million? Somebody's got to pay it. Somebody's going to pay that.
And their overall tax package goes up. Because I can remember when we talked about St. Anthony's Hospital and them moving out of town. I went to the LaPorte County Auditor's office and I obtained a copy of the tax structure table for everybody. And you pay certain taxes. Everybody in LaPorte County pays so many taxes, and then there's a group of taxes that are added on, not much, but they are separate and additional taxes that are added on if you're a resident of a city. Michigan City, LaPorte, Westville.
Yeah.
So they will pick up those taxes.
Specific taxes, yeah.
Yep.
So Potawatomi Park, now if they get sewer and water, and this is the kind of thing that Long Beach really struggles, and so does Trail Creek struggle with. If you had sewer and water, you don't have to set aside some of your land for a septic, which is typically pretty large. Then you could have a pool, a deck, you could add more bedrooms on your house, and that increases the value of the home, the assessed value, and that increases the amount of income you bring in. So there's a very tough balance here to figure out, because I pulled up the 2018 LaPorte County Circuit Breaker report to find out how much money does Potawatomi Park bring in. And this is a strange little report. Almost can't figure it out hardly, but it looks like it's about $85,000 a year that their revenue is for the town of Potawatomi Park. Do you think see the same thing I do? It says
General.
certified
101.
levy, and it says levy based it on abstract, 8497, 86. And then they have motor vehicle highway, so that's $9,000 for roads. That's enough for a pothole crew or
Yeah.
a plow.
Not very much.
Tiny. So Potawatomi Park is struggling. I mean, the way I looked, they're struggling with how much money they bring in because they're all residential.
Well, there's some similarities, and I don't want to expand them too much because they're not big. But when Village Green insisted on having their roads done right now in asphalt rather than concrete, which I felt they were entitled to by the documents of incorporation of Village Green.
Should have been concrete.
It should have been concrete. And we all know that we who deal with this kind of stuff know that asphalt doesn't last as long as concrete. 7-8 years versus 50 years.
Yeah, sometimes 50 years.
But I looked at it and we went out and surveyed, did a little surveying in Village Green. I walked Village Green when I campaigned in an election. I saw no heavy traffic in Village Green, strictly car.
A couple delivery vans.
Yeah, nothing big.
No.
So under those conditions, asphalt roads will last longer than 7-8 years. If you just have
Maybe 15.
light vehicles with light volume. Yeah. So that needs to be a consideration because right now Potawatomi Park's roads are in good shape.
And another one of these here is the 2018 State of Indiana Department of Local Government Finance Team. This is all available on the internet. Takes a little bit of digging. Department of Local Government and Finance in Indiana. Here's 2018 Potawatomi Park Civil Town. Their certified budget was $72,922. Their certified levy was $84,957. So we're talking about $85,000.
$85,000 of additional taxation Michigan City would
Yeah,
receive.
that's what we're talking about. $85,000. It's tiny.
Yeah.
In my report here, I was thinking,
Compared to Michigan City, what was Michigan City's? Well, I remember Michigan City's budget was $47 million.
but I gave you, if you looked at it, here you go. There you go. I gave you Michigan City's. It's in that packet. But I thought, so I said, okay, the average value of a house is $185,000. There's 190 homes in there. That's about at 1%. I'm thinking they should have brought in like $250,000 in budget revenue, but it looks like the number from the state is 85,000. So, you know, if the town of Potawatomi Park has to pay for $1.5 or $2.5 million for sewer and water, because that's what we're down to here. We're down to who's paying for $2.5 million of sewer and water, or $1.5 million. Let's just get this down to brass tacks. That's what we're asking for. And I don't live in Potawatomi Park. I had friends who used to live in there. But here's my point, and I've talked to some people about it. If there's about 300 residents in Potawatomi Park, do you want to be one of 3,000 and control your destiny? Or do you want to be into Michigan City and be one of 30,000? How much do you think, if you're a resident of town of Potawatomi Park, and you call up and say, you know, I need a pothole fixed, or there's a wild animal, or my sewer's broke, and you call up, and you're one of 300, you call up your town board, do you think you're going to get action compared to one of 30,000? How diluted is your effectiveness going to be?
There's different ways they can go, Tony. You know, in a situation like this, if I were a pot partner, I'd say, well, let's contact the gang that set up Beach Walk. They you know, they got their own design community.
I'd like the free $2.5 million.
Yeah, they don't have to abide by Michigan City's requirements, or streets aren't as wide.
Oh yeah, they got private streets.
Yeah, they got private streets, so they don't have to abide by the Michigan City regulations. They've got their own sewage lift station that
the city pays to run.
The city pays to run. So talk to the boardwalk or
beach walk people.
Well,
they used to have city garbage, but now they don't have city garbage anymore. They have they pay for their own garbage. So maybe some of that's come to fruition. That Michigan City got wise. So wait a minute, if you want to have your private roads and you don't want people in here, you can't ask the public to come in and plow and maintain and take care of your sewer, your lift stations, and take care of your stuff. You got to start paying yourself. So maybe that's changing.
Well, I don't know.
But Potawatomi Park, I was amazed. $85,000 a year. That's why they're here. Let's just say what it is.
This isn't gonna, yeah.
$85,000 is a pittance.
When is this going to come to fruition, one way or another? You got any idea of the time frame?
The article said that Patrick Donahue, a Potawatomi Park attorney, told Michigan City Council on Tuesday night, this is from the Michigan City News Dispatch, that there were too many hoops to jump through to make the referendum happen in November, and they push it off to 2020 because the state doesn't allow a vote on local government mergers during a municipal election year. So they could have done it this year, but there's too much to get through, so they have to do it on 2020 because it's not during a municipal year.
Well, that's the right way to do it anyway. Take your time and do it right.
And so then here...
when I was on the council, Michigan City insisted on doing everything right now.
And Donahue says, we believe the infrastructure is getting to be at its life expectancy. So is that the game here?
What did he say?
We believe the infrastructure is getting to be at its life expectancy in Potawatomi Park. So they know it has to be fixed and replaced. So let's merger with Michigan City and find $2.5 million somewhere. But Mayor Ron Mayer want to make sure that that those costs are looked at and figure out if this is a good thing or a bad thing. A cost-benefit statement from Potawatomi Park. Should we go to this or not? Is this Michigan City going to foot the bill in one way or another? And let me say it now: are they going to foot the bill for $2.5 million of infrastructure improvements, sewer and water, and bond it and pay some interest, or is Potawatomi Park going to pay? That's really where we're at here. Well, they've done their numbers, and they got a great, beautiful town, but man, their tax revenue is abysmal. $85,000? Wow.
Well, if it comes out of Pat Donahue's mouth, I got confidence in it. Pat is a very competent attorney, just extremely sharp.
Well, he's
I don't know about
the park.
right out of the chute. I'm wondering, what did Potawatomi Park really approach Michigan City? When I was on the council, it came up as a topic of discussion. Potawatomi Park didn't want to have anything to do with Michigan City. That was only a couple years ago.
Well, the first time they approached the council to talk about it, the mayor had a quote in the paper saying this would be more of a merger and not of an annexation because they're hire city police now to police their town. So we have moved on now to an annexation request from the town of Potawatomi Park to Michigan City. And Michigan City should understand its due diligence here of what's the return on investment, what's the cost benefit analysis. Those will become public roads. We have to maintain them, plow them, pave them, fix the potholes, safety improvements. We have to do all that in the town. There's a park in the town.
Yes, there
There's
is.
a little park in the town of Potawatomi. That park district has to maintain that, mow it, make sure it's safe and kept up. That costs money. And supposedly we're doing this for sewer and water.
Well, now, Potawatomi Park becoming part of Michigan City, then Michigan City will also become involved in International Friendship Gardens.
Michigan City would, and that means
And that
Potawatomi Park and Friendship Gardens would all come under the jurisdiction of the Michigan City Building Department,
And
Michigan City Planning Authority.
They really haven't addressed very much of that so far.
I mean,
And
that's a whole
Friendship
different
Gardens
animal.
is a pretty big facility.
That's a whole different animal. There are lots of different permits. There's lots of different fees.
Yep. So
It's a give and
2020
take both ways.
2020 sounds like a good window if they take advantage of this extra time.
I don't know. If you had $85,000 a year and suppose bare bones, I guess they can't even do it. They're running bare bones right now at 80. Where do you find the money to borrow or save up to pay for sewer and water in your town? I mean, that is because we know if you had to borrow $2.5 million, you're going to pay what? $4 million? Another million and a half in interest? The money don't come free.
No.
Or you're going to save it.
We probably better move on. We can come back to this because we've got 4 more topics to cover.
Yeah, so there's just so much here. It's all available. Now, a side note, when I was researching the Department of Local Government Financing, they have every budget order, every circuit breaker, every piece of data is on their website. It's great. So I pulled up, I'm glancing through, and of course I look at Michigan City. Michigan City Area School Corporation, certified budget, $43 million. Debt service, $11.7 million. This is 2018 budget order.
So we got $43 million. What was their budget?
$43 million in general certified budget. $11.7 million in debt service, interest, payments.
Well, they got a ways to go. Michigan City's beat them. Michigan City's got a $47 million budget and we're $69 million in debt from bonds.
I presume this is debt service. I heard they were 110, 120 million in debt. So this is the interest they pay every year.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about just
$11.7 million that's not going to the students, not going to teachers. 11.7. I looked at other school districts. They were nowhere near. This is 25% of our money is going to pay interest.
Yeah.
I don't know how, and we've said this before, there's no better return on investment with our funds. Is there any way Michigan City could use our gaming revenue, which we were all promised when we did the gaming vote, when the gambling vote, and we did the lottery that would go to education, and here we have Michigan City sitting $11.7 million in interest every year. Could we please find a way? Is there any legal way we could help them out so we don't spend $11.7 million to a financial institution in interest payments?
Well, let's look at that for a future show.
Wow. So I looked at that. The circuit breaker thing basically said the same thing. Their certified levy, $20 million. Their debt service was $10 million. So that's what really alerts me.
Explain, just take 30 seconds, explain to the audience, because some people don't know what the term circuit breaker
Oh,
is.
circuit breaker. So the state, our state legislatures, took the bull by the horns here, right or wrong, whether it hurt anyone or didn't. They said, that's enough. You cannot have these communities just tax and tax and tax and tax to death. That's not good for our state. That's like what Illinois is doing. You're killing the ability for people to live here, own a home, and enjoy life. So they said, circuit breaker. We have a 1, 2, and a 3. You cannot, somebody cannot have more property taxes than 1% for residential, 2% for commercial,
and 3 for industrial.
3 for industrial. And
So you can guesstimate what your property tax is by the assessed value of your house.
so the Department of Local Government Finance, I believe, or the state auditor puts together how much the communities would get if they use their, because they still have, and you can look this up, every community still has a tax rate. They say, okay, I want this much. The school corporation needs X percent, the city needs X percent, and you add them all up, and it can't be more than 1%, 2%, 3%. But you add them up, they're still 3, 4, 5%, but you're only going to get to be able to build 1, 2, or 3. So they make a chart on how much is not being taxed because of the circuit breaker. And they go right through here. They say everything. Circuit breaker, 65, over 65 circuit breaker, 1, 2, 3% circuit breaker, total circuit breaker. So, and we've heard this from the school district. You got Michigan City's out. The school district, technically, by the circuit breaker, lost $3.7 million. They were not able to tax Michigan City residents $3.75 million because of the circuit breaker. I didn't bring Michigan City's, did I? So, Potawatomi Park, they lost $22,000 because of the circuit breaker law. It looked like this chart. I didn't think I'd bring that one. Michigan City lost the same kind of amount, $5 million that they have a tax rate that they wanted and they approved, and your elected officials said it was okay, and the state said no, 1, 2, or 3. You cannot tax more than 1, 2, or 3%. And that's, go back a little bit, that's the kind of the problem the school was in. Every entity in Indiana was in the same boat. When you knew the circuit breaker was hitting, you had to cut. But a lot of them did not. And they retained debt after debt after debt. LaPorte County, let me tell you, they tightened their belt tighter than you can imagine. They cut people, they put people on furloughs, they cut it to the bone. Michigan City didn't have to. We had a casino, right? We just spent more. We just ignored the circuit breaker. We'll just spend. I mean, I thought Michigan City's was, did you see Michigan City's?
Well, Michigan City takes in about $12 million a year from the riverboat.
Their certified budget was $25 million. Their certified levy, which I guess is the 1, 2, 3%, is $18.9 million. So there's a difference right there of about $6.5 million. Because their certified levy, the state said you can tax this many dollars, but their budget was $25 million, 2018. That's just a general budget. There's lots of other pieces here. Fire pension, police pension, motor vehicle highway, lots of other different budgets that come up here, but their general budget. I'm reading the right thing, right?
Yep.
$25.2 million certified. That means the council approved in 2018 a general budget of $25.2 million. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it happens? And then the state said your 1% is $18.86 million. That's all we're going to allow you to collect at a certified rate of $1.6121. I don't know what that is. So there's
police and fire pension together are $3.5 million, almost 3.6, which is over 10% of the entire budget of Michigan City. Those two accounts.
Police and fire.
Just pension alone.
Just pension, yeah, not their pay.
Not their pay, not their benefits, health care.
But see, Michigan City can run in the black because we have the casino
We
paying
have the river.
the $5 million that we don't have income. We won't get down to the money we're only allowed to collect. LaPorte County did. It hurt. It's tough. Okay, that's enough Potawatomi Park. The beach. Keep wanting to talk about the beach. Lake Michigan. It's hot out today. It's going to be hot tomorrow.
And according to the news this morning, the water temperature is still only about 65 degrees. So be careful. You can cramp up. Take a long time to get hypothermia.
Well, it's windy though, so you can get
undertows.
I should have drove down to see what if there's undertow. It was windy today, this morning. What brought this up this week again was Lake Michigan in the Northwest Indiana Times is 14 inches from its highest level ever in 1986. Lake Michigan, as a body of water, is 14 inches from this highest level ever. And that was recorded in 1986. So that lake, imagine that size moving up, feet up and down. So we have less beaches, a little more dangerous, it's deeper, more currents. Long Beach's houses are going to be up against the wall now, the break wall.
Closer, yeah.
So that's why I wanted to, and I looked at the city of Whiting. A little town, real pushing.
Ask Al Gore about that. There you go. Global warming, it's coming up. Coming up the St. Lawrence Seaway into the Great Lakes.
So Whiting has and I keep going over this, their in-water park.
Amusement park.
They expanded it, I think, by like 25,000 square feet this year. Again, it is such a booming success. And again, Michigan City has done nothing. Bismarck Hill is opening up. They have some walking trails.
Some walking trails
today, maybe yesterday. They've cleaned out the invasive species. They got some native species. That's a big, tall sand dune. And they're talking about a zip line, so we could have had a zip line. I drove by downtown, uptown, what do you call it, and that little pocket park fountain we're supposed to have at 7th Street is just grass. I thought that was supposed to be under construction. These are things that we can do off the beach, but the beach here is an unbelievable attraction. And if Whiting already has paved the way for permits to have an in-water park, a floatable park, why can't we just copy it and put it here in Lake Michigan and Michigan City and make it 4 or 5 times as big, because we obviously have the money.
Well, what's the cost of the total cost of this floating park in Whiting?
I don't know. I can't give you a number because I thought it was a private business.
We'd have to take a look at that.
And now we have the cruise boat going out.
Well, so many things. I don't understand the excitement over a zip line. It's not going to be a major source of revenue.
No.
It's just going to be a feature.
Yeah.
It's going to be an attraction. It's not going to bring in a ton of money.
No.
I've seen and heard on the radio and seen in the paper so many times this reference to a cruise boat out of Michigan City. It's not a cruise boat. It's a government research vessel. They're going to bring it into Michigan City and they're going to dock it, and people are going to be able to go on tour of it and see what they do, what the government does to determine the cleanliness of Lake Michigan, how they monitor it, and what they do to keep it clean.
That's a different boat.
No, that's the one that they talk about in the newspaper.
Well,
there's 2 boats.
There's 2 boats.
The one you're talking about isn't real close to fruition yet.
No, he's out. He took his first cruises on Thursday.
You sure that wasn't the government boat?
No, the government boat. No, they have his first cruises are out this weekend.
Okay, all right. Because I know the government boat is due here any day.
I like how you say it. Features. We need to load up on features. We talked about a boardwalk. My wife and kids were down at the beach on Friday, and they got hungry. You know what they did? They went to their app, and they used the Domino's hotspot. And the hotspot is by the zoo entrance. So they walked off the beach, Domino's delivered them a pizza and pop, and they walked back down to the beach. And the Domino's guy says, I'm amazed, you're the first person that used it.
Yeah. And how much did Michigan City make off that?
Nothing, but we talked about a boardwalk where you could, 20 feet wide, you could sell ice cream, pop, pizza, chips, popcorn, nachos, independent vendors. Michigan City won't make anything. But if they come here, maybe they won't just spend 2 hours, they'll spend 8 hours. And this is not something that I think is going to cost a lot of money. It's just something somebody has to look at, we're going to get. It's not something you say, well, Whiting did it, so we don't want to be a copycat, so we're just not, we're not going to do it.
That's not the principle, Tony. The principle is you have to, like you said, you have to look at return on investment. Every community on the shoreline of Lake Michigan is doing their best to draw people. From north of New Buffalo, Lakeside.
Some are just doing better.
They're all doing, and there's only so much of a pot to draw from. Portage, Whiting, they're all developing. They're all developing their lakefronts. But is the group, the area that's going to draw from, is that going to be able to provide enough income to make it worthwhile for these communities?
Michigan City's sitting on, I think, the best beach in Lake Michigan.
Oh, there's no
They
question.
got the zoo, we've got the lighthouse. We are a diamond in the rough that we just can't seem to figure out. Well, we had a carnival, right?
We've got, we had an amusement park years ago with everything. A Ferris wheel, we had everything. And the city got into a dispute with the entity that owned it, the developer, and they just said, okay, we're out of here. They disassembled it, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, they walked away.
But beside that, it's a tough, Michigan City's never going to be a total resort community.
Oh, no.
You know, you say, okay, and I agree with you. We do have the nicest beach along, well, close to us is Dune State Park. They've got a very nice beach that's every bit as big as ours.
Yes.
Every bit as big. No one else can compete with those in the state of Indiana. You get up in Michigan, and right across the line, there's a state park in Michigan that's very nice. Okay, so you do have competing beaches, but the thing that we're not looking at is everybody west of us is closer to Chicago.
Yes.
That is a factor. Do you want to drive an hour or more to get to Michigan City, which it's an hour, it's more than an hour, or do you want to drive 25 minutes to Whiting? Whiting's right there. And the toll road goes right through it. You jump on a Skyway from Chicago, and you're in Whiting in 20 minutes versus an hour to Michigan City. So these things have to be balanced.
Do you want to spend 20 minutes to spend 2 hours or 4 hours on the beach, or do you want to spend an hour and a half to spend 2 or 4 hours? You got to keep them here longer.
You got to look at that too before you spend millions of dollars to develop your lakefront. And for the economic health of the community, I still feel we need to develop the community as a whole. We need to have our golf course, and tourists should be tied into our tourist bureau. A couple of couples, 3 or 4 husbands and wives that want to come to Michigan City for the weekend, they want to shop at Lighthouse Mall.
Yep.
They want to hit Blue Chip.
Go Blue Chip.
They should be able to, from their homes in Hinsdale or the North Shore, wherever they're at, they should be able to arrange tee times at municipal golf cars. They should be able to make schedule evening dinners.
Yep.
At the finer food establishments in Michigan City. They should be able to come down here and everything's done. They can't do that yet. They don't have, we haven't set that program in place. And for Michigan City people, Michigan City, we have lower property taxes, we have lower cost of living. To make the community grow, we need to market Michigan City as a community for older people to retirement. Come and retire in Michigan City. You can be active all year round. In winter, our golf courses are open. We have cross-country ski trails. We have snowshoeing trails. We have something for you in Michigan City year round. Have we done that? No. We talk about the summer on the beach. 3 months, July, August, and they said it on CBS TV. You got to trust, or you got to try to trust national news companies. CBS said, because the first weekend where we got hot weather, they said, be careful, the water's too cold.
Yeah.
The only time that you can really bathe in Lake Michigan and be safe is July, August, and September.
Yep.
And it's always been that way. In June, you go in and you freeze to death in the lake, but the outside air is wonderful. By September, now the temperature on shore is dropping, but the lake's still beautiful. So you're in the lake and you step outside and you're cold. We've got to know, like Clint Eastwood said, we got to know our limitations. I mean, that's true, really.
Yeah.
Let's stop fooling ourselves to try to be something that we can't.
Yeah, you're searching for a defined number of people.
Let's get jobs,
Education. So
jobs.
go ahead. You better get into that
Because we're running out of time.
Take it on.
All right. There was an article this week on the internet. Chief Executive Magazine. Always quote your sources, Mr. Mayor. When you say that Michigan City receives a notoriety, say where it came from. Chief Executive Magazine ranked Michigan City as the 5th best state for business, behind only Texas, Florida, North, and South Carolina. Said the business, Indiana, CEOs can rely on Indiana as the business-friendly center of the industrial Northwest, thanks to a corporate income tax on its way to falling below 5% by 2021. Affordable costs, that's what they're looking for. Then Indiana responded. Indiana has a state plan to become a digital hub by investing $100 million a year for the next decade in innovation and entrepreneurship programs in schools and businesses. I mean,
education.
Indiana's moving in the right direction.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The rest of the state is.
No question.
The magazine ranked Indiana 8th in workforce quality, 12th in both taxes and regulation, compared to Illinois. Now I'm going to say something that you need to keep in mind here. Illinois was 48th nationally, 46th in taxes, and 37th in workforce quality. But we keep comparing ourselves to Chicago, which you can't do. Here, despite the discrepancy in rankings, executives have been more likely to invest in Illinois, specifically Chicago, which has a gross domestic product, GDP, we hear about it all the time, that's more than double that of the entire state of Indiana. So Chicago's a state in its own, in itself.
State.
We can't compare ourselves to Chicago. We need to compare ourselves to Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, other states that are in similar, Michigan's automobiles. Detroit, which has struggled. You want to make a good comparison, compare us economically to Michigan or Ohio, or the state of Ohio. Illinois ranked 3rd nationwide in corporate investment in 2017 with 419 major projects. See, here's where I get tired of hearing about jobs. Oh, we're going to have so many construction jobs. That's been my career. The most common saying on the construction site is every day we're working our way out of a job. The project gets completed, you're done. You've got to find another place to work. They're not permanent jobs. They're cyclical. Illinois rated 3rd, Chicago rated, Illinois rated 3rd with 419 major projects, 50 gleaming skyscrapers currently under construction in Chicago. So you got to, apples to apples.
The skyscrapers are going through a transition because the digital world and Michigan and Indiana spending a bunch of money is turning people into doing it from their home, not from
I keep looking over here because here's our clock we got to pay attention to before Andy walks in and shows us the sign. It's over. All right, here's the bottom line for Northwest Indiana. Blue-collar jobs increased in Indiana last year. Indiana and other Midwestern states bucked a long-term trend and added manufacturing jobs last year. Indiana gained 5,000 manufacturing jobs in 2017, and 1%. Ooh. How many did Michigan City gain?
I don't think any.
0.
Don't think any. Could be wrong.
The modest growth in employment does not seem to be having much impact on wages growth in most states. See, that's interesting, which remains modest. And this is per a Washington, D.C. think tank, unidentified. In 2017, neighboring Illinois added 18,000 jobs, a 3.2% increase. Again, you got Chicago, which is so much bigger than Indianapolis, although Indianapolis is booming. And the bottom line in this article, United States has lost more than 5 million factory jobs since 2002, or since 2000. See, now that the Midwest is making progress.
Yeah,
the nation
we're
as a
gaining.
whole. Here's the bottom line. The manufacturing sector, however, remains vital in Indiana, especially in heavy industrialized Northwest Indiana. The Indiana Manufacturers Association estimates the industry accounts for 30% of the state's workforce, or excuse me, 20% of the state's workforce and 30% of the state's gross domestic product.
Northwest Indiana.
Northwest Indiana. We're part of the backbone of Indiana. Some areas may not want to admit that, but
30%.
we are.
Yeah,
30% of the state's income. We need jobs here in Northwest Indiana, industrial jobs. LaPorte's on track. Alcoa Aeronautical, Howmet,
Yeah.
Renault,
Oh.
they keep getting more and more. And we keep getting more resale shops. You can drive up and down Franklin. You drive up and down Franklin Street each week. You'll see a new shop, but you'll probably see another one that's closed.
I know some people in
They're
Michigan
closing
City.
as fast as they're opening.
I know people in Michigan City who now got jobs in the port.
And for future, say that again?
They got jobs in the port. They're driving from Michigan City to the port.
Yeah, because that's where the opportunity's at.
Working at Howmet.
And for the future generations out there, 10 most in-demand jobs in Northwest Indiana for those with just a high school degree. You can do better if you got more. Bus and truck maintenance specialists, mechanics, $42,500 a year. Projected growth over the next 5 years, 16%. Clerks, billing, cost, $35,400 a year. 15% growth expected. Bus drivers, school or special client, 27.3. That was the lowest rate in the table, 27.3, with only a 7% growth rate. Carpenters, industrial, BP, steel mills, NIPSCO, 43.3 a year. Projected growth rate, 12%. Computer-controlled machine operators, 35.6 a year. 30% anticipated growth rate, 30%. Woo! Construction carpenters, the home builders. That's why I said that, labeled that industrial. Construction carpenters, home builders, 43, they have the same rate, the union rate. 43.3 a year, 12% increase. Coroners, roughly 58,970. 59,000 a year, 9% expected rate increase. Correctional officers in jails, more bad guys all the time. 33.2 a year, 6% growth. Okay, that's less than bus drivers. I thought bus drivers were the lowest. And then following up, the number 10, construction or customer service representatives.
Service
industry, 35.3 a year, 11% growth. Right here in Northwest Indiana.
That's the backbone of Michigan City.
Yeah.
Service. That's all you can shoot for.
Get on board with this thing. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. But Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. I better be careful.
That's all I got to say.
But we need to look at outside the box. Let's stop talking about being a tourist destination. If I live in Denver, if I live in Louisville, and I want to lay on the beach for a week, I'm not going to come to Michigan City. I'm going to go to California, Puerto Rico, Florida,
Disney World.
Live within our means. Let's look at what we can achieve. Okay, last thing. We've talked. No, have I cut us short?
Nope.
Because we had one other topic.
We got to get to that. No.
Okay, this is very important. Yeah, we're running out of time. We've talked about this. Active shooters, schools. I don't know if you saw it on the news last week. Polk County, Florida. The Polk County Sheriff said, we're doing something about it. Polk County's school board voted unanimously to spend $3.7 million for the first year and 3.69, 3.7 every year after that for a guardian program. they are going to hire 45 out of the chute, 45 resource officers, train them, firearms, screen them psychologically to protect their schools. Starting salary, $45,000 a year. It's supported by law enforcement in Polk County, and their entire school organization is on board. Now that's just the manpower end of it. Like I said, we need to make some changes architecturally, structurally, functionally to our schools. But Florida is moving forward. Florida's not going to have another shooting if they can help it. They're doing everything possible to stop this wave in their state.
They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Absolutely.
$3.7 million a year for security.
Yep. It was on the news. Very impressive.
Because I saw the article that Indianapolis is talking about what funding they need to secure their schools in any sense. And the rub is they don't want to release where they're spending their money to give the bad guys the upper hand. So that's a tough call, because if you're spending millions of dollars, you better make sure it goes to protecting the kids and something doesn't happen. But you don't want to give the criminals the upper hand to know how to get around the security. You know, you have transparency and you have issues that, and we see it time and time again, somebody takes the funds and does things they shouldn't, or they give it to their buddy and their friend, and the kids don't get protected.
And you can see yourself with the information that we have gotten, primarily Tony, off the internet. It's out there. If you know how to find it, it's there. So if these school systems, whichever ones take action, modify, they make these changes in manpower, in policies, they modify their schools to make their schools more secure. They have to be accountable for the expenditures, but too much accountability can be vulnerability.
But here in Polk County, they realized that they put it nationally out that they're going to spend this amount of money and that's what they're going to do with it. So they want the criminals to know. We got officers sitting here. We're paying for them. So you try to get in here, good luck.
Yeah.
Because they want you to know. Some of the things in security, you need them to know. Some things you don't need to know. So that's the tough line that you got to cross with public funds. Can you just give somebody carte blanche and say, here's $3 million, protect the students, but don't tell us how you spent it?
Andrew Pollock, father of Meadow Pollock, one of 17 students killed in the Valentine's Day massacre at Douglas High School in Parkland, applauded the creative steps taken by Polk County officials and Judd. Absolutely.
This is a new world we live in.
So now you have teachers teaching, and the guardian will be responsible for protecting students and school personnel. That's the way it should be.
Well, you look at Parkland.
We've got to stop here in Indiana, and I can only talk about Michigan City, closing our eyes and looking the other way, keeping our fingers crossed. We'll hope it won't happen to us. If we're lucky, it won't. If it does, then it's done, and there's nothing you can do about it. After it's done,
that's the problem. That's the whole crux of the problem.
shoulda, woulda, coulda.
You either have, we don't do anything and something happens, or we do this and nothing happens. So everyone says, well, you spent $3 million and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Well, that was a pretty good use of $3 million because nothing happened.
Because nothing happened.
I mean, how does the
we
school
haven't
board
lost
say,
any of our kids. That's what it's all about.
You can't prove the negative that nothing happened, so the money we spent worked. And sometimes people are going to say, well, there's millions and millions down the hole because nothing ever happened. Yeah, nothing happened because everything's in place. We protected the kids. We locked the schools down. We have cameras. We have resources officers. We have teachers trained. We have protections in place. Of course nothing happened. Aren't you glad you spent the money?
Yep.
That's where you're going to get that back and forth. It's going to be tough.
All you need is one incident and life changes forever.
And then you will spend the money.
Parkland, Florida, whether it's Sandy Hook, Connecticut.
Whether it's Indiana. New Albany or whatever.
Yep.
Where were they? Happened there. And that teacher's coming back next year, I heard. He's going to teach next year. He came back and he's ready to go.
What a guy. What a guy.
So we're getting down to some time here. Getting back to salaries. I'm reading the article that we're talking about Northwest Indiana and people need a place to live and we need more modern housing according to Hulse. This, I think, was a Northwest Indiana Times article. It says it needs more middle-income housing priced $100,000 to $300,000 range. In Michigan City, I don't think that's middle income. What do you say the
Priced in the housing in the $100,000 to $300,000. Yeah, well, not right now. That's not middle income housing.
Not Michigan City.
Well, there's another thing I was going to comment on what you said. Key word, priced between. That means ownership.
Yeah, you're right.
We've got to stop building rental property. We complain about the fact that we can't control as a community who moves into our community. Well, you can't as long as it's rental property.
No.
With property that has to be purchased, the purchase price can be set such that it makes the people that we're concerned about have a very difficult time situating in our community. We've got to move away from rental property and move toward ownership property.
And I'm glad you brought that up because the apartments we're doing right downtown, I drove by.
The old Memorial Hospital site?
Old Memorial Hospital site.
50 units.
I don't know if I want to ask you, but it looked to me like it was stalled out. I don't know what their holdup is, but I thought they're supposed to be building and breaking ground. Looks like the infrastructure's in. I looked on the Beacon before I got here. It's still owned by the Michigan City Redevelopment District, so there's no transfers taking place.
No transfer of ownership.
So
not good.
How do you? And that's
where's these developers at?
You know, you can't go get. I can't say, hey, I'm a big developer. I'm going to go borrow money on some ground I don't own, but boy, they're going to give it to me once I build it. The bank's going to be like, wait a minute here, no.
Yeah.
We want the equity.
I don't know. We'll have to start looking into that.
And I drove downtown to see what's going on around there.
Get some people to ask some questions at these plan commission meetings.
You know, where's the 7th Street Park at? That little pocket park we're supposed to have. That's just grass, and I thought that was definitely supposed to be broken ground and finished this year.
Maybe these developers that were looking at the old Memorial Hospital site, maybe they're looking at the We Are Beautiful site with the great big We Are Beautiful site, also owned by Michigan City. Boy, we own a lot of land. We are land barons in Northwest Indiana.
I just hesitate that we see a lot of people promise things and nothing happened, like the bottle manufacturer in Kentucky never happened. A lot of promises made and nothing fulfilled. We got about 20 seconds left. We have next week is going to be our wrap-up show. We're going to go over everything we did the 5 weeks. Dwayne and I are going to work as hard as we can to get this YouTube back on and all the index done. We got about 10 seconds.
We want to give you a good index so that if there's something that we talk about that you want to listen, you can just bring up the front page and we'll have every show and the topics, and you can dial in on a specific show. You won't have to cruise a show in hopes that you find what you want to hear.
All right, see you next week.
Yep, see you next week. Thanks again.